Before we begin our podcast, we'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land we're recording on. For Cass, it's the Borragagal people, and for Hayley, it's the Dharawal people.
And
hi guys, this is DragMeOutOfficial. I'm Hayley.
And I'm Cass.
Can we please just address the face scratching that I had quite a lot of last week? Thank you. I'd actually explained it, and Hayley, thank you. I'd actually explained it, and then Hayley actually edited it out, and it was because of the medication that I was taking. So I don't have eczema or anything like that, and my hand is now in my pocket to make sure that I don't actually touch my face anywhere near as much as I did the last episode.
You're a crackhead, but that's just me.
Well, yeah, we don't really talk about that stuff in public now, do we? I rested after, last Friday's visit to the hospital, and went to the doctor's yesterday for a checkup to see if everything was okay. And the doctor was like, yeah, you're fine. Your bloods are fine. Everything's fine. You need to go and see a specialist for some more surgery possibly. And I'm going to send you for a pelvic ultrasound. I'm like, oh, that sounds fun. And then I get it's not. Well, the ultrasound part's not that bad. Here's the part that really got me. So on the pathology request, it says ultrasound pelvic plus TVS. And I was sitting there and I was talking to my wife. I'm going, what's TVS? I don't know what TVS is. So I Googled it. And it's like a transvaginal scan or something like that. And I went, no. And my wife's going, oh, you'll be fine. Everything's fine. And I'm like, I don't know how I feel about that. But at the same time, I know it's a necessary evil. So I'm just kind of coming to terms with the fact that, somebody who's not my wife is going to trans my vaginal, I guess. I don't know. So that was pretty much my week. It was okay. It was a short week because I had I only work a 9-day fortnight, so I had yesterday off, and ran around and did some shopping. Got the hairs cut.
Oh yes, very nice.
Freshly shorn. Thank you. It's the lovely Sergio, who I see him at a hairdresser in a shopping centre in the Northern Beaches. And every time I walk in, he's really like, hi, how you going? How's everything? How's you been? I haven't seen you for a while. What's going on? Blah, 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 blah. And we were talking yesterday, and he was the only one who was working. Everybody else was off sick, and we were having a little chin wag while he was cutting my hair. And he said to me, he goes, oh, anything new? And I said, oh, I started doing a podcast. And he goes, oh, what's it about? And I said, oh, our bariatric surgery and about, drag and drag queens. And he went from, oh, how's everything going to, that sounds great. And I was like, oh, okay. So Sergio just comes out of the dark every now and then. Like, just has that little sneaky peek out of the closet. Not too sure. Like, I'm pretty much a giveaway that I'm gay. You'd think he would have kind of like dropped it with me, but maybe, I don't know, he keeps it up for business purposes or whatever it is. I mean, I don't know. Just Cuts at Warringah Mall isn't exactly a place where, gay people congregate.
I had a similar instance during the week where I was with someone who is of the homosexuals, and the guy that he was talking to, I've spoken to before, and he didn't give me gay vibes. Sometimes my gaydar is a bit off just because I'm so self-absorbed. I don't normally think about it. And when he was speaking to the guy that I was with, just turned on the, oh, yes. And then I was like, oh, okay. And then we started talking about drag queens, and I was like, okay, yeah, okay, yeah, it's very obvious now that you're of the homosexuals. I guess it could be The fact that they used to hiding it because they don't want to be judged.
Maybe a self-preservation thing.
Yeah.
I think I just outed Sergio. Oh well. This is their business. He's older, like he's easily in his 60s. So, but everybody's business. But I just found it really weird when it went from like, how's your day, to that sounds great. Like, you know.
All right. Do
Yeah.
we want to talk about how
Yeah.
we met? That's an interesting story. I don't know where to start though.
It is an interesting. Where to start?
I don't know. I don't know where to start.
All right, fuck it, I'll start. Okay, so we met at our previous job, and Hayley will tell the story that
True.
I did not like her. That's theoretically true. However, I just didn't care enough about people to bother to like them, because it was such a revolving door of a place that you just don't bother.
You didn't like anyone.
I didn't like anybody, so you were just like everybody else. It was fine. And then Hayley would like to tell everybody else the follow on from that and how we ended up becoming friends.
So Cass was originally my supervisor, and she just had this fuck off look on her face 99% of the time. And then I got made supervisor, so it was kind of like she had to force to get along with me to make the work go along, I guess. I was close friends with someone and we would flirt openly, but I did not realize that he actually had a partner. I never put that together. And his...
And I was
Correct.
friends with that partner.
And so little drama ensued. Nothing happened. I was never going to do anything with this person. We were just friends at the end of the day. But on that, Cass was sort of in the, do we like her? Do we not like her? But my best friend doesn't like her. So, you know, on that little bandwagon. And then I think the person that was your friend sort of left the area for a while, and that little birdie wasn't in your ear anymore. So and I think you said it the other day because I can't remember, but when you said like when you first like maybe we should be friends. Was when you heard me go, bye. Oh, wait a second. I know what that's from. And then like the scene from Step Brothers. Do you watch RuPaul's Drag Race? Yep. Do you want to be best friends? Yep. And that's kind of how it started.
Yep.
And then we were always trying to get on the same breaks all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, so we could go upstairs, have a smoke and have a chat. Yeah. That place is a revolving door. You can't really, like, I was like part of the furniture there by then. And you can't, you just find yourself in a place of, I just don't want to get to know anybody. I don't want to get to, you know, be friends with anybody because the moment you do, they leave. You know, you stop going to farewell drinks and all of that other stuff after work because otherwise you'd have no money and you'd just be shouting like the person leaving every other day.
And then we remained friends, I guess, which is surprising for me and Cass. I think like some people are out of sight, out of mind. Like we haven't actually physically seen each other for at least 2 years until we went to Drag Expo.
Oh yeah. That was like 2.5 years. Yeah, for sure.
But we just, you know, have that 1 week of phone call, or, you know, it doesn't really matter. Like if you don't call me or I don't call you, it's not an offensive thing. It's just, you know, we have lives and life happens. And then when we speak to each other, it's like we never haven't spoken to each other. So it's, you know, I don't get offended and you don't get offended if, you know, we don't answer each other's phone calls or we play phone tag for a couple of weeks. It's not a huge issue. Like,
yeah. So we've been talking, well, we've kind of been discussing like, you know, things that we could do for the podcast. And one of the things is what annoys me. I threw out a couple of suggestions today to Haley, and we're not too sure like what we're going to land on. I said something like the Karen Chronicles.
But I'm still like, I'm not trying to be a Karen.
What bursts my pancreas? It hurts my pancreas. Yeah, I think that was it. So you'll discover as you start to watch and listen to the podcast more regularly that the two of us have very strong opinions on people and things and how things should be, and are not afraid to express it. My wife would much rather prefer that I don't express it to the person. But how are they going to know unless I educate them that they're annoying? Like, how is that going to stop? How are they going to do it? Like, I don't know I'm annoying unless you tell me that I'm annoying. So I'm just going, you know what? I'm telling you you're annoying.
To be a better person if we did not tell them.
Exactly. And that's why we've been put on this planet, to tell people that they're not better
Correct.
people and how to become better people. So do you have anything that springs to mind? Because I've got about 37.
I have one, and it's kind of like a general thing, but it happens quite a bit. So you go into the grocery store and you get your things, and, you know, we have the self-service checkout, and we have the people that help you, and you have the, 10 or less items, 12 or less items, whatever you're at. And so you do your shopping, and I like to go to the ladies because I like to keep them in a job. And generally, I have like half or a full trolley, and I'm not scanning that. Like I don't get paid any extra, or I don't pay any less for those groceries to scan myself. So I refuse to.
Exactly.
I'll wait, behind 2-3 people. I don't really care. What pisses me off to no end, right? You'll be, it's packed. There's 3-4 people in the line. You're the last on the line. And then the person behind you, you're loading your stuff up. The person behind you comes along with 2 items and kind of gives you that little sad puppy dog eye look, like, oh, are you going to let me in front of you? And in my head, I'm like, no. There are several other aisles for you to go. You have the self-checkout. You have the 10 or 12 items less. Go over there. I'm waiting. I'm trying to pack my stuff nicely. If I'm still packing my stuff on the conveyor belt, that's fine. You can go in front of me. But if I'm finished packing and I'm just waiting for her to ring it all up or whatever, or she's still, don't jump in the middle, because I'm going to be pissed off. If you ask me nicely and you caught me on a good day, I'll be like, okay, yeah, all right. Like, no worries. Don't look at me and wait for me to say, oh, you can go ahead in front of me. No, because I'm not that kind of person. So don't look at me. And that's why I was a little bit of Karen about it. But it pisses me off. Stupid puppy dog eyes. That's my weakness.
So my biggest one, and it happened, this happened a few years ago, and then something similar-ish happened yesterday at the doctor's, okay? I'll tell you the story from a couple of years ago and then relate it to yesterday. So I remember we were sitting at the doctor's surgery out west, it was one of those, you didn't have to make an appointment. You just turned up, and hopefully sometimes your ass hit the seat and then you could just go straight in. Other times, you had to wait for a little while. So we were sitting there and we were waiting, and the doctors were running a little bit behind, and that was fine because we didn't make an appointment, so who cares? And I was just getting a cert because I chucked a sickie from work. But then it turned out I was actually legit sick. Like, between me calling work and going to the doctors, it turned out that I wasn't faking it. So I was sitting there and I was feeling like absolute crap. And there was a woman and her husband and her kid. And her kid would have been about, let's say, 4 or 5 years old, And the kid was running around everywhere. And at this particular medical center, there's the chemist attached to it. So the only entrance into the chemist is through the medical center, right? And it's there, and people walk in and out all the time and whatever. And this kid was running around and like being loud and annoying. And by the time this was all starting to happen, I was getting this really bad headache kicking in, and it was just painful to listen to this kid. And what was more painful was the mother, like, Tommy, I said, don't do that. Tommy, instead of like going to get the kid and bringing him over. And so we're sitting there, and I was with my wife, and my wife was getting a bit, short with the whole thing, and so was I. And then the kid walks out with something and hands it to the mother. and it was either a Mars bar or a cherry ripe. I remember it was a chocolate. And the mother goes, "Where did you get this from?" And the kid points to the chemist, like, "Over there." And instead of the mother going, "Oh my God, you stole from the chemist, we have to take it back," she unwraps it and eats half of it. And then gives the other half to the kid that doesn't need a sugar hit because he's already been running around. Right? So I keep that in mind every time I go to the doctors and I see somebody with their kid. And I know you have kids, and I've never been to a doctor's surgery with you and your kids, so I don't know how it happens, okay? So yesterday I was the first appointment of the day. My new doctor, my doctor has a new doctor, so you can actually have 2 appointments at the same time with different doctors now. And I'm not used to that. It's usually just him, and, you know, you turn up for your turn and you sit down, you wait for him to call you in. So I'm sitting there and there's a woman and she's got 2 kids and the kids are running around everywhere. And all I can hear is, "How many times do I have to tell you? Mummy told you to behave. You have to behave." And I'm just like sitting there with my legs crossed, you know, my top leg flopping up and down because I was getting really pissed off by then. And the doctor was taking forever, and my appointment was at 8:45 and it was 8:48, and I was the first appointment of the day and I got there on time. Why couldn't he? And this kid was going on, and all I could hear was a mother going, "I don't know how many times Mummy has to tell you, don't do that, don't do that, don't climb up on there, don't do that, don't do that, don't do that." And then the best thing happened, right? The kid was running and he slipped and went straight into the door. And I went like this. And it was out there. It was loud, and like the mother just like looked at me, and I me, the little voice in my head going, "Karma." That's finally karma. But it was one of those things. So the thing that annoys me is, okay, if the kid's sick, that's fine. Like, because kids might like play up when they're sick because they're sick, and that's the only way they can articulate pain, and that's all well and good. But she was there for her. Yeah. She wasn't there for the kids. And it's like, if you're going to take your kids to a place where people are sick, can you make sure that like they're either quiet, they can run around, they can play, they can do whatever, but don't be screaming at the top of your lungs and don't be climbing all over crap. Like, you know. And it wasn't like she had 2 kids. Like, she had 2 kids, but she didn't have 2 kids to control because one was in a pram. And that the baby was asleep. This kid was about maybe 3 or 4 years old. And I understand that they're rambunctious but like, make sure that when you take your kids to a place where there are people who are sick, that maybe you might want to take into consideration the person who's probably not feeling very well sitting there waiting to go in.
My huge issue
it just annoys me.
Taking kids to the doctors is that there's other sick people there. So if my kids aren't sick, I will try not to bring them to the doctors. Sometimes you have no choice. I understand that as well. But I will try not to bring my kids to the doctors. And if I do, come at me in the comments. I will give them an iPad so that they sit still, because I don't want them getting sick from anyone else or touching shit. My 7-year-old likes to put his hands on everything and then he puts them in his mouth, and I can't control it. Like, kids are assholes. That's all I got to say.
They are. But this is another thing, and this is a public service announcement, okay? When you go to a medical center and it's full, and that poor receptionist is sitting there trying to do the best she can, and she's trying to make sure that everybody gets seen in the right order and all of this other stuff, and you don't give yourself enough time and you want to get in to see the doctor as soon as humanly possible, stop walking up to the receptionist and asking if they can move you forward or asking how long it's going to take. Because usually what happens at those kind of medical centers, when they take your reservation or your details to go and see the doctor, they usually say to you, "Really sorry, it's probably going to take an hour." Don't get up after 27 minutes and ask them how long it's going to take,
Because if you look at the person who walked in before you, if they're still sitting down on the seat and haven't gone in to see the doctor, guess what, buddy? You're not up yet.
Maybe this should be the
Public service announcement.
I say, look, is there 3-4 people in front of me, but I also have a doctor where I book appointments. It's not a walk-in. But yeah, I'll usually, and then if I'm in like an emergency room, I'll see the person who logged in before me and then be like, okay, when he goes, I'm the next one.
Yep.
So
It doesn't take a genius to figure out if the person in front of you hasn't moved off the seat. It's not going to be your turn, mate. Like, stop. And stop harassing them. As I said, they're doing God's work. They're trying to make sure that everybody is being seen to in our universal health care, that we don't have to pay. You're not paying for it, mate. Like, leave her alone. Rant over. And you know how I know you're not paying for it? Because I saw you hand over your Medicare card. My taxes are paying for you to be annoying to the receptionist. And I won't have it anymore.
it hurt my ears.
Okay, I'm better now.
I'm going to have to turn that part down.
I'm sorry. Sorry. Cass is really sorry. I'm so sorry, but like it just fucking annoys me.
I'm going to have to find something that annoys me this week that like gets my goat.
You need to have passion. And I am passionate about waiting your turn at the doctor's surgery.
Well, we have
wait
similar gripes then, because I like people to wait their turn or go in another line, self-service for 2 items.
And you know what the worst part is? That the person who does that and walks up and goes, is it my turn next, is also the same one who self-diagnoses from WebMD. And they go in and they go, oh, this little freckle on my knee is like a cancer in my brain because WebMD told me, or the Mayo Clinic website told me, or whatever it is. No. If you're self-diagnosing and you're doing all of that other stuff, why do you need to be there to find out where in line you are with the doctor? I'm so sorry.
Ow,
I'm so sorry.
my ears.
I'm so sorry.
Anyway, so after that, that was just us ranting about shit. Maybe we should talk about why we did the podcast about our bariatric surgery journeys.
I did it, and I think we touched on this a little bit last week, because the reality is I don't want to die. I don't want to die. And that's what was happening. I was slowly killing myself with the inability to be able to move and just eating crap. Like I was spending like $250-ish a week on Uber Eats and all of that other stuff, because I just didn't have the energy or the physical ability to be able to stand up long enough to cook. And I loved cooking, and I just couldn't do it anymore. And I just went, I need to make the choice. Plus I touched on a little bit last week about how, my friend's partner had passed away, and I didn't want to do that to my wife. There's some resounding issues. One of the things, and anybody who is thinking about doing this, one of the things that you find out, especially when you were someone who was as big as I was, the initial pain of the fact that you're overweight and the problems that causes on backs, hips, knees, ankles, the whole 9 yards. Once you start to lose the weight and drop the weight, you find that it actually uncovers other aching issues or pains that you didn't know about because you had more pressing ones. So as you start to physically feel better, and, your back starts to sort itself out and your hip starts to sort itself out, or whatever it is that is the main issue for you, is that you find that there is going to be something else. And for me, it was the hip. And then, that started to play up, and that's slowly fixing itself. But it was also, I didn't want to go to the doctors or hospital when I was having pain, because the first thing that they say to you is, oh, you need to lose weight. You're fat. You walk in there and you go, I have a sinus infection. Fat. I can't stop sneezing. I can't stop coughing. And they go, well, if you lost weight, and you're like, no. And that's one of the things that happens with people who are overweight, is that they're too scared to go to the doctors because it's usually the
I got
same response
told
every single time.
3 days before my wedding, 3 months after I had a baby, that I was morbidly obese. And that's when he put me on the Duramine.
Mm.
And I was like,
I remember the
oh,
Duramine
well,
times for
great.
you,
I
yeah.
cleaned everything. My house was spotless. But
Yeah.
I think it ruined my metabolism for the future, because you stop eating and then your body processes things differently, and then you go back to eating and your body's like, oh, food, and then you just put the weight back on anyway. So if you want to go on Duramine, yeah, it's great for staying awake and having lots of energy, but other than that, don't do that.
Some choose not to go because, you know, you tell yourself it every day. Like, you look at yourself in the mirror and go, I'm not happy with how I look. I need to fix this. You don't need somebody else telling you, you know, because you already tell yourself and you get down on yourself about every day. But now that I feel a lot more confident when I go to the doctors, and then obviously, you know, about 18 months, I had the chest pains that revealed that I had a mass on my adrenal gland. I would never have found that out because I probably would have went, you know what? Don't want to hear it. Yeah, but I don't want to hear it. I just, you can't hear it all the time. It's a
And I
constant.
guess it's the same, like, you know, chiro, physio, any sort of pains that you have, they're going to tell you you can solve that by losing weight. You're in a catch-22, really.
Yeah. And one of the hardest things about all of this, and I fell into the trap, is, you know, doctors had suggested in the past and friends had suggested it, which, you know, is they go, oh, you could have the bariatric surgery. And I was in the mindset of that's the cheating way out. You know, if you can't do it through diet and exercise, like that's the cheating way out. And then you find out when you've had the bariatric surgery that it's harder than the diet and the exercise. It's so hard. You know, you make a lifetime commitment. You don't, it's not just, oh, I'll drop the, you know, 80 kilos or whatever it is and everything will be all fine in the world. There's the maintenance. There's all of that other stuff. This is a lifetime commitment, plain and simple. And I don't know if I said it last week, but I know I've said it to you a few times. And to anybody out there who is considering doing it, educate yourself first. Make sure that it's going to be safe for you. Ultimately, it will be the best thing that you will ever do. But no matter how prepared mentally you think you're going to be, day one gets thrown out the window. It's a lot more different than you possibly think. I honestly thought you had the surgery, whether it was sleeve, bypass, whatever, you know, and you just ate small things and you reduced size really quickly. And you find out from week one that that's not the case. You can't eat because you just want to be sick all the time. You're just nauseous or you're in pain or whatever it is. The only thing that I can say to anybody who is thinking about it is it gets better. Eventually you will be able to eat things that you thought you'd never be able to eat again. You just can't eat as much of it. And you can have a bad day and you can have like a tiny little sliver of cake or whatever it is. It's not about denying for the rest of your life. What it is anything you eat is automatically going to be in moderation, especially if you have the sleeve. Oh, sorry, the bypass, especially if you have the bypass. You've got no choice. Your stomach's that big. Like, that's not big, you know? And it's just, you need to make sure that you are willing to commit to this for life, because you have to take vitamins every day for the rest of your life. You know, you got to do, you know, calcium every day for the rest of your life, you know, because you can become malnourished because you're not getting the same vitamins or anything.
Energy levels. I notice when I forget to take my vitamins, which I think that's the last 2 days. My bad. I will take them. Yeah, so I don't
Loves
know.
2 days. Me too.
Life gets away with, and they're not in a place where I can see them, so I keep forgetting. But you can feel yourself like your energy levels deplete because you're not getting that energy from food that you should be because you're not eating as much. So that's where the vitamins kick in, and they're not cheap. They're not the generic ones that you buy at the chemist. They're proper ones that like give you all what you need.
They're
This is an
specifically for
expensive
bariatric
process. It's not cheap. Yeah.
That's what they don't tell you. They don't tell you the upkeep as well after the surgery. They don't tell you that it's going to cost you X amount of dollars every 3 months for your vitamins and what. They don't tell you about the hidden cost until after you've committed to the surgery.
Anyone who is thinking about do your research with your surgeons, because, you know, I'm not saying all of them, I'm not saying most of them, but some of them will recommend this surgery even when you shouldn't be getting it. Like it's just a money grab. So there is Facebook groups, even though sometimes the questions that get asked every day are like the same question. Like, yeah, same question every day. But there are more questions like, I've lost this much weight in this much time. Is this normal? Who cares? Because everybody's different. Everybody loses weight differently. Yeah.
You're losing, sweetheart. You're losing your weight,
Like,
sugar
we had a
tits.
whinge
Like, come
about that
on.
lady today who
Like,
posted, like, I lost 25 kilos in 4 weeks. I'm really regretting life and I don't like this surgery and blah, blah. I'm like, when
half the weight
have
that
you
I've
ever
lost.
25 kilos in 4 weeks? Like, it's not an overnight process. It does not take 24 hours for you to be the size 12 that you wanted to be. No, it takes time. And if you stop losing weight, then change something up. You probably need to eat more or just go for a walk. That's it. That's all you have to do. It's not even that strenuous.
Yeah. But it's not even, it's like you plateau quite a lot. As I said, I think I actually said last week, for the first 6 months, the weight drops off pretty quick. And the rest of the time that you have to work for it. And it's just like any other weight loss regime, whether it's diet, exercise, the Atkins diet, the leafy green diet, whatever it is, you know, and your plateau may go for 2 or 3 weeks. If you are getting this surgery and you get to a plateau stage, don't complain about it on Facebook, because you've got two of us judging you. Because and you lose in the first couple of weeks, and then you kind of plateau a little bit because your body's still recovering. You know, they basically take you apart, rearrange your insides, put you back together, and then go, okay, now you can't eat good stuff ever again. You know, I'd kill for a cheeseburger. I really, really, really want a triple cheeseburger with the cheese dripping and the oil and all of that other stuff. That's been my food fixation this week. I just want
I guess I'm in the same boat, like, because I haven't had a burger of any form. Haven't even made my own burger, like, at all. I haven't had bread. So I look at a cheeseburger and go, yeah, I could eat that. And then I think about it and I'm like, no, I actually couldn't. So I don't know. I'm in a weird place with food at the moment. And I think it's I'm just having a bad week.
I'd really give it up for like a fillet burger from KFC. I was thinking about it today. You know how like they get the bun soft and you got that big thick piece of the chicken fillet and the lettuce, and then, you know, the mayonnaise and, you know, just like that perfect combination of everything when you bite into it.
I'm going to really have to cut out the food talk on this, or they're going to be like, yeah, we can see why you're fat.
That's exactly right. We go into these conversations and how many times have I said to you, I can actually see why I needed the surgery now. These are the things that, you know, you can think about it all you want, but you can't eat it. We've strayed so far off topic.
Did you watch the latest episode of Only Murders in the Building?
I watched the final.
Spoiler alert.
I
Spoiler alert for people
did.
who. So if you haven't watched it,
Big spoiler
fast forward
alert.
This bit. Don't switch off, but fast forward this bit. So I thought it was really good. Like I didn't pick it. I kind of picked that. Obviously, it wasn't her. The criminal mastermind was not her.
Cinder, yeah.
Like when they did the whole, they had like a murder party. Those what they had.
What was it? The killer reveal. Was it to reveal the killer, or was it just a good killer party, or whatever it was they kept saying through the episode?
There's a killer party that's also to reveal the killer. He's like, oh, he's explained it now. I get it. I didn't know how they were going to top the first season, and they managed to do it. So they left it open for a third as well.
They did, yeah. But I was, we were watching it, and I turned around to my wife when Steve Martin, they had the sheet over him, and I went, Cara Delevingne, or whatever her name is, didn't do it, and he's going to rise up and go, ha, like type thing, which is pretty much what happened.
There was no 911 person called. Like he just died on the floor, and no one called 911. So I was like, okay, well,
yeah. But what I liked and what made me like really laugh was when they were trying to get the confession out of her by like doing the inside of the tomatoes, and he was squeezing the tomatoes and everything. And my slow motion. And then like I was kind of like turned around to my wife and I went, you could probably get a confession out of me if you just like put a burger in my face right now. Like, I did it.
It was me.
Give me the burger. No, I really, really, really enjoyed it. It was very, very good. And and then an even bigger spoiler alert is Paul Rudd dies at the end of the second season. But I said to my wife, I went, does that mean that we're going to get some Paul Rudd
probably because they'll do flashbacks
because I'll have to do flashbacks and stuff.
I do love a bit of Paul Rudd. What we haven't talked about a lot, and what this podcast is about, is drag shows. So, celebrity drag show. How you feels?
So I really like it. It's like the drag version of The Masked Singer, which, that's two of my things, like right there. That's totally in my wheelhouse and everything. Actually, after we finish recording this, my wife and I will be watching the new episode.
Oh, me too.
I would never have guessed Taylor Dane in a million years.
So I wouldn't have guessed it because I don't know who they are.
Oh my God. Okay. You need to research Taylor Dane. She has a voice that's very similar to Anastasia, right? I remember the big boofy hair in like the mid to late 80s with her like hit single Tell It to My Heart. She did the remake of Barry White's God, what was that song?
Mm-hmm.
Can't Get Enough of Your Love, Babe. And she is a phenomenal singer. She came out around, I'm going to say 87 or 88, because I remember reading an interview once because, my favorite singer at that time was Debbie Gibson.
No.
And if you don't know who that is, like you can Google it if you want, but then you'll just judge me even worse than you already do. Taylor Dane is amazing and her voice is phenomenal. And I was so shocked when it was Taylor Dane. I just went, are you kidding me? This woman used to like sing and dance and lip sync in her videos and like when she was releasing music and all of that. And like, she didn't do that great, but like it was still a shock and I still love the show. I think Poppy Love is AJ from the Backstreet Boys. The one with the lollipops is the guy who played Artie from Glee. Yeah. And I'm thinking one of them is it Jenna Ushkovitz or whatever, the Asian girl from Glee?
Two from Glee?
I think yeah, why not? They've got nothing better to do. They're not getting hired for stuff, so they might as well dress up in drag and lip sync.
I don't really know. I know who they are, like I know what they look like, but I can't watch Glee.
But we need to start educating you on the important things in life. And that's why I'm throwing a challenge out that we're going to organise a list. And anybody who's listening, please throw suggestions in the comments or, slide into our DMs on Insta or whatever it is. I want you to start so we can talk about it. Like, there are some absolute cult movies from the 80s that defined a generation. A lot of drag queen royalty use these as inspiration as well. So I'm not entirely sure if it still is on Amazon Prime, but there is a movie called Clue. It's based on the board game Cluedo.
Sounds interesting.
Yeah. It's very, very good. And it's got Tim Curry in it, who was Frankenfurter from the Rocky Horror Picture Show. And it's got one of the great comic actresses of the time, Madeline Kahn, who is no longer with us. And it's such a good movie.
Clue.
And what I would like is for you to watch it through the week and give us your critique in the next episode.
Okay, I will do that this week.
Okay. I will send you a text message to remind you. Yep.
Now, Down Under. Snatchity Snatch Game.
Yes.
I know. I know.
There was one good one. Molly doing Liza, phenomenal. Was so good. Recognized that it had been done before, but put her own spin on it. She was the only highlight out of it. The rest of it, I was just like, oh
Barry
my
Humphries.
God, what are you doing?
But I think it's the cheerleader effect where you're picking the mediocre out of the shit. Minnie Cooper, as soon as she said, "Oh, I do Ellen all the time. I'm hilarious," I'm like, "You're gonna bomb." Whenever someone's that confident going into Snatch Game, you are going to bomb. And she did, and she went home. And Beverly absolutely killed that lip sync. You deserve to stay. I think you're getting a bad edit. Love you. Come on our show. Do it.
We love you, Beverly.
And
we really, really do. The one thing I was trying to figure out in that lip sync what Minnie Cooper was intending to do, because it was like, are you taking the piss? Like, are you just going, well, I'm going out, so I might as well just go out with a bang? Like, I question whether or not her heart was in it.
I feel that we won't get... I think we'll just get excuses.
Do you think we'll get the Charlie Hides effect? Remember Charlie Hides, when Charlie Hides was lip syncing against Trinity? And then she was like, I broke my rib, I had diarrhea, I had this, I had that in season 9 or whatever season it was. Yeah. I don't know. And you know what? If that was the best that you've got, Minnie, you know, well done. Like, you've got bigger balls than we have, sweetheart, because like you don't see us doing drag or anything like that. But yet, make me pretty. But yeah, I mean, I'm still excited for what, you know, what we're still going to have. I mean, Spanky Jackson is just doing so well now. I mean, her drag isn't overly fantastic, and that's fine. You know, you don't have to look like the world's greatest whatever to be fantastic at your job. You know, she just. I think Spanky Jackson's the nuts. Though. I really do.
Like if they have confidence, it carries through.
Queen Kong is starting to come into her own. She's starting to relax a little bit more.
All the time. I don't know why. Yeah. Like, she just seems angry at the world.
I don't know. Maybe she had a bad week, and maybe she just hasn't overcome the disappointment of that. But I'm hoping that like. By the way, haven't watched the new episode yet because tonight is Drag Race night, so for Celebrity and for Down Under.
But maybe, Queen Kong, she just seems agitated all the time and annoyed at people. Maybe she had an unruly kid in the waiting area at the doctor. I don't know.
What are you trying to say? Queen Kong and I should just like hang out and bitch about people in doctor surgery.
She had someone cut in front of her who wanted to do 2 items, and she had some unruly kid running around in a waiting area, and she's just in a shit mood.
And you went, you know what? But you can't deny her
No,
presence on
I
stage
agree.
when she did that lip sync. You can't deny she just turns it out. She's
Yeah,
just,
I agree.
she's amazing. Like, they're all amazing. Anybody who dresses up in drag, whether it's good drag, bad drag, or whatever it is, to us,
Oh, 100%.
you are amazing. You be you, and you stay being you. Like, I don't care if you walk out with sponge dress, shout out to Monet. I don't care what you dress up in. If you go out and you enjoy what you're doing and who you are and you're living your best life, you may get a little bit of a judgment, but that's only if you put yourself on TV to be judged. The rest of the time, neither one of us, nobody I know is going to judge you, because you're doing you, boo.
I agree.
That's what you're doing. I feel like I'm on a
Yeah.
soapbox today. I feel like I don't know. It's the doctor's surgery affected me. So before we wrap up, okay, so some of the local drag shows that are coming up this week in particular, at Ginger's at the Oxford, there is the Fatty and Skinny show every Friday, 9 p.m. with Maxi Shield and Jackie St. Hyde, which is at Ginger's at the Oxford. There is Saturday, 6 p.m., RuPaul's Drag Race Down Under viewing party with Coco Jumbo at Ginger's at the Oxford. So these ones are I just fixated on one place this week. And there is also every Saturday at 9 p.m. at Ginger's at the Oxford, the Triple D's with Maxi Shield, Jackie St. Hyde, and Coco Jumbo. Now, anybody, if you remember, or if you haven't watched, Maxi Shield and Coco Jumbo were on RuPaul's Drag Race Down Under Season 1. Okay, Maxi Shield is actually celebrating, along with Vanity Fair this year, they're celebrating 25 years in drag. So it's their Silver Jubilee. Maxi Shield is just a phenomenal person, a phenomenal drag artist, a phenomenal drag icon in Sydney in particular. And you guys need to get down there and see these people. They will give you life. They're just amazing. Also, what's come up on our Insta is a drag queen from your area. So Ella Warrow will be performing at the Vault, which I'm assuming is down in Wollongong. 2 show dates of October 21st and November 19th at 6 p.m. Tickets are $35 at the door. And we'll probably be advertising this a little bit more throughout, because, we're a little bit far away. We're like 8 or 9 weeks away. So we'll continue to, spruik this every couple of weeks. But the one thing that before we finish up, we need to talk about the announcement of Sydney and Melbourne Drag Expos. So Sydney is the weekend of my birthday, which is the 20th and the 21st of May 2023, which will be at the ICC at Darling Harbour. They've already announced the international queens so far. It is the trio of Trinity the Tuck, Monet Exchange, and Jinx Monsoon, who I cannot wait to meet. So I told Hayley straight away, and we already have our VIP tickets. We're trying the VIP again. Hopefully we get something for it. Obviously, there'll be more queens announced as they become, signed and available and all of that other stuff. And they also announced that in Melbourne on the 12th and 13th of August, they're going to be having, of 2023, these are both in 2023, they'll be having Drag Expo again. And we already have our VIP tickets for that as well.
I think it was 20% off until the end of August if they haven't sold out. So get them. Get them while they're hot.
Mm-hmm. Please. We would love to see you down there. We can't wait to get down there. We're hoping that maybe for August next year, we don't know how successful this is going to be or whatever it is, but we would love to get a booth down there and do some live podcasting, because they just need all of the exposure that they can get. And, to our tens of dozens of viewers, go to our Insta and we will tag all of the local queens that we can, just so you can find out what they're all about, because these are amazing, amazing artists, amazing performers, and amazing human beings.
Follow us on
Market.
Instagram at DragMeOutOfficial. If you're watching us on YouTube, which is the only platform we have right now, like and subscribe. It helps us out. We need to be able to afford avocados. And don't forget, send any questions in you may have or any suggestions that you want us to watch and critique. We can do that. We're very judgmental. Any up-and-coming drag queens, you don't have to be doing drag for that long. 2 minutes, 5 minutes. You want to come on our show, DM us on Instagram, and we can set up something on there.
We want you out there. We want the world to experience the best you that you are. And I'm really, really sorry. I was really talkative this podcast.
It's not just
I'm
this
so
podcast.
sorry. But no, it's in general. It's fine. But like, I get passionate about stuff. And even though I'm a day late, wear it purple. Still me, still human. You can still go to their website, wearitpurple.com. Please help out the LGBTQIA+ young people. This helps them with their mental health. This helps them get through. They're always around. It's a not-for-profit organization. We bought the t-shirt. The wife and I bought the t-shirt because they're pretty great. Get behind drag. Get behind the LGBTQIA+. Get behind straight people. Just get behind people.
Everybody
We love you all.
equally, except for those people that want to cut in the line at the grocery store.
If you cut in the line at the grocery store, if your children annoy me at the doctor's surgery, I'm sorry, but no. I'm a voting, tax-paying citizen, and I reserve the right to have a quiet doctor's surgery.
On that note, bye.